Arsenal broke the bank on Olivia Smith. It's a deal worth over £1 million, smashing the world record transfer. So why have they signed her and what will she bring to the Arsenal attack? Let's dive into it. So who is Olivia Smith? Smith is a 20-year-old Canadian attacker who joined Liverpool in the summer of 2024 in a deal worth £200,000. Before that, she was playing her football out in Portugal for Sporting Club de Portugal. And after lighting up the Liga Portugal, she came across the WSL last season and excelled, notching up 11 goal contributions in 25 appearances. But more than just her efforts in front of goal, Smith took the league by storm with her unique dribbling style, her pace and her power. So let's take a look at some of that in action. We'll start with this clip from the game against Brighton. In this game, we can see her make this run down the right-hand side in towards the goal. It's a perfectly timed run and a good finish at the near post. And this demonstrates Smith's ability to time that run perfectly and then to make the right decision in the penalty area. A lot of players will look to go across a goal here when the option isn't really on, but she just fires it to the near post and scores. Then I want to take a look at the game against Manchester United. Smith was phenomenal in this game. In fact, all of the Liverpool team were. They completely destroyed the United side, who many considered favourites going into that game. But there was one moment in this game, Smith's individual goal, that really outlined her brilliance. So going down the right-hand side, you can see her just delay that run, waiting for the right time to make the burst, and she makes that burst in behind. And she's still got a lot of work to do from this point. She carries it well towards the byline. A lot of players may have looked to rush across in this situation, but instead Smith makes the decision to burst towards goal, and it's a really difficult angle. It's easy for this to be saved or parried wide, or even to fire it into the side netting. But Olivia Smith picks her spot and finishes it off incredibly well, and it just shows the quality Smith has in these sorts of areas to make a difference where a lot of players would have missed that opportunity. So this is the sort of star power that Arsenal are going to expect from Olivia Smith next season. However, of course, there's still aspects of a game that she needs to iron out. I enjoyed watching her massively play against Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Phenomenal across that game. And Katie McCabe, one of the worst games of her career, just got torn apart continuously by Olivia Smith, which speaks volumes about the quality of Smith. But I think what we saw in that game was these huge glimpses of promising moments, but occasionally the wrong decision making. We'll start with this clip then, and this clip went viral after the fact because the way that she drove inside, the little bit of individual skill to beat Katie McCabe, to drive then towards goal was phenomenal. But what she does afterwards, taking the shot there, probably not the right decision. And we see this throughout Smith's career, really. There are moments where the decision making isn't quite right. And this makes sense at Liverpool, a side where she hasn't had as many opportunities. But she's got to think more about what opportunities are best. And at Arsenal, that's going to be key. They have to win games decisively, and she can't feel like she's the only player that they can rely upon for goals. And similarly, on 19 minutes here, we see the same sort of thing again. She does really well initially to knock it past Katie McCabe, but afterwards she rushes this ball into the box. For me, she's got to drive inside, look to come into the area, and then play a ball across the box, or even cut inside and look to shoot. But this one-dimensional aspect to Smith's game is a huge problem. We see it again here in the 35th minute where she does this incredible bit of skill, flicking it over the head of Katie McCabe. But when she squares up to Catley, she's only got one way that she's going to go, and Catley reads this excellently. So Smith tries to go to the outside, cuts it across the box, could have been dangerous, but it doesn't come to anything. And this is where Smith perhaps needs to bring a little bit more into her game, because on this right-hand side, she can't cut in with the same sort of danger. And when she plays on the left-hand side, she's great at cutting in, but has to be able to go down the line. So it's a little bit too one-dimensional at the moment from Smith with that reliance on her right foot. And this is something that Arsenal will be looking to see if they can coach out of her. And there's evidence of this in the data. So if we take a look at this shot map from the 24-25 season for Olivia Smith at Liverpool, we can start to see some trends in the data which show some causes for concern. So this shot map shows the XG value of shots that she's taken, as well as the shot quality of the shots that she's taken. So the XG value denotes how much of an opportunity there is to score based on the league average, and the shot quality denotes how well she's been able to take that shot to create a better opportunity. So what we can start to see in the data is that one, she's shooting from areas where there is a lower chance of scoring, and this will be a worry for Arsenal because they want players who will try and score in the best possible opportunities or look to play a pass to a teammate who's in a better opportunity rather than waste an opportunity shooting when there isn't really a chance to score. So that'll be an initial concern. The other one is that there's a few chances there which she is taking a good quality opportunity and letting off a poor shot. Now this will come down to her decision making, but also down to her ability with the ball to strike it accurately. So there are a few concerns there, but this is all stuff that can be ironed out of Olivia Smith's game. So now let's look at some more positive data for Smith and why she'll be really important for Arsenal. So this graph shows her forward carries in the 24-25 season, and what we can see is this huge trend of her running down the right hand side. This came from a vastly better second half of the season when she was played on the right hand side under Amber Whiteley, and shows how she was given more of a licence to drive towards goal. And this is linked with some really impressive numbers. This season across Europe, she ranked in the 83rd percentile for progressive carries per 90 with 2.47, and she ranked in the 99th percentile, so the top 1% of successful take-ons per 90 with 2.01. So this shows what she can bring to Arsenal: a direct runner, someone who wants to take players on, and someone who can carry the ball up the field. And what this gives Arsenal is another player who can help them progress the ball up the pitch. Now let's have a look at where Olivia Smith does her best work. Under Matt Beard, we saw her switch between the left and the right hand side, so this touch map for the 24-25 season shows her being able to cut inside from the left, but also cut inside from the right. What we saw under Amber Whiteley though was a complete shift. We can see with this touch map from Whiteley's time in charge, Olivia Smith was used almost exclusively as a right winger, and this shows that at Arsenal she could be used at either a left hand side and cutting in, on the right hand side as very much an out and out winger. And this ability to hold the width effectively could be incredibly important for Arsenal, and they like to use wingers on the left-hand side who cut in and on the right-hand side who hold the width, because they've got Katie McCabe at left-back who likes to overlap, so Smith can play either of those roles very effectively. And it's not just her attacking statistics that have impressed Arsenal. This graph shows the duels and tackles for Olivia Smith in the 24-25 season, where she maintained a 50% success rate. And this is shown in the raw numbers with 2.75 tackles per 90, ranking her in the 99th percentile amongst that position in Europe, and in the 98th percentile for interceptions per 90 with 0.8 per 90. So the data shows that Smith could be used in a couple different positions for Arsenal, and that she can offer a lot in the attacking third, but also show some defensive quality. Now let's take a look at where Smith may fit into this Arsenal team. So I've started by lining up the Arsenal team from last season, with the exception of Victoria Pelova, who obviously missed a lot of last season through injury, and I've put her back into the lineup as I expect her to start this season. So Arsenal last season, what they like to do with their wingers would have one on the right hand side. This is Beth Mead in this example, who'd like to hold the width. So Mead would stay very wide and then look to receive the ball out in wide areas and create from there. Whereas on the left-hand side, what they like to do, and this was most often either Caitlin Ford or Mariona Caldente, was use them in this half space here to allow Katie McCabe to overlap. Now, both of these positions are very good for Olivia Smith. Smith is very comfortable driving inside onto her right foot. She's also very comfortable playing out wide on her right foot. So let's look at how this will look on the left-hand side. If we bring Olivia Smith into play, I think this is what they'll do for the start of the season at the very least, because what we've seen from Olivia Smith is a tendency to want to play on her right foot. And while I think Arsenal will try and coach this out of her in the long term, I think short term they'll want to get some results out of her and try and boost her confidence moving as the world record transfer. So I think they'll try and play on the left-hand side, look to get her shots and goals on her right foot, and then maybe look to bring her left foot into play a little bit more. But if we look at how she's going to function in this team then, oftentimes last season they would end up in this sort of shape. I think one of the problems they had was that it was a bit too stagnant in possession. They were very dominant against sides who would get trigger happy and come and press Arsenal, but sometimes against low blocks, they'd really struggle to break them down. And it often relied upon someone who's very good at breaking teams down to be able to come up with a bit of magic. Now, they've had a lot more magic now because Olivia Smith is very good at that. So what Smith can do from this left-hand side is look to cut inside, look to get shots away, but also look to drive into these sorts of spaces and cut the ball across the penalty area. And we'll see a lot more of this when she plays on the opposite flank. So if we move her over to the right flank and we bring someone like Kelly in, for example, to play on this left-hand side, or actually even better fit would be Cooney Cross and then moving Caldente higher, what we'll see from Olivia Smith holding the right-hand side is a lot more individual creativity. So Smith's very good at beating players down the line, then looking to play a ball across the box for Russo, who likes to be around the penalty spot, or Caldente, who can make this sort of run, or make a run to the edge of the box, or someone like McCabe, who can make this back post run and receive the ball in that sort of area. And I think we'll see, if Smith is deployed on the right-hand side, a lot of assists from her this season playing balls across the box. What Arsenal need to bring into Smith's game, though, to make her truly dangerous is an ability to go either way. What we saw from that data analysis and from the visual analysis is that she's very good at making these sorts of runs, or if she's on the left-hand side, she's very good at making these sorts of runs, but not so good at going onto her left-hand side. Now, what they need to do to make her more unpredictable and more difficult to play against is make her able to go on the outside when she's playing on the left wing, because then you don't know which way she's going to go and she can offer danger in both ways. Or if she's on the right wing, be able to dart inside with the ball. And this would just give her an extra layer of creativity. But Smith is a very good player. She scored 7 goals last season from an XG of 4.8. This shows that she's able to overperform with the chances that she gets. Arsenal will naturally give her better quality chances and better opportunities, so we should see that goal figure go up. But what we need to see from Olivia Smith is a bit more consistency with the opportunities that she's taking. She needs to be more patient in front of goal, but ultimately she looks like a brilliant signing, and it's exactly what Arsenal need to rejuvenate their front line. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with their wingers next season, because if we look at their squad screen again, they've got so many options. I mean, they've got Chloe Kelly now, of course. They've got players like Ford. They've got Mead. Last season, they used Cowden Tay on the left a lot, and you'd think now, with the fact they've got Vouty, Little, Pullover, Cooney Cross, who can all play in the pivot, you'd think they'll probably use Cowden Tay higher once more. So there's going to be a lot of competition for places next season, but you don't spend £1.1 million for a bench player. Olivia Smith is coming in to start, and she's coming in to be a star player in this Arsenal side. I think it's personally a really, really good signing, and there's a reason that Arsenal forked out £1.1 million for her. So that rounds off my analysis of Olivia Smith's move to Arsenal. My verdict, it's a very good signing. The big question is now, does it take Arsenal to become Champions League winners again? Does it take them to be able to compete in the WSL? Personally, I think it takes them closer to Chelsea, but I still think there's a little bit of a gap there. And as for the Champions League, well, they won it last season, so how can they get any better in that competition? But I do think Smith makes them a more consistent side with more of a constant goal threat in Olivia Smith. So it's a very good signing. Is it £1.1 million? We'll have to wait and see whether she can repay that price tag. But I think it's a very exciting signing, and perhaps a sign of things to come for Arsenal. That, though, does conclude today's video. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about Manchester United's woes in the transfer market. We'll be back on Friday to analyse how Andre Yeglers will line up at Man City. So look out for those 2 videos. That, though, is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.